Hey everyone, it's Mr. Montgomery again, back with a math video for you. Uh, Last Thursday we did something called two question problems, right? That was pretty rough. It was some hard stuff. We had some trouble, but it's okay, because today we're just going to make sure that we really understand it, so we're going to do a lot of review. We're going to redo those kinds of problems so we make sure we understand them. Now, we're going to take this first problem on the top of your worksheet and we're going to pretend that they didn't give us these answers. And we're going to walk through these steps with each other to make sure that we know how to solve these special kinds of math problems. Now, remember, there's two different parts. So I'm going to draw like a little squiggle here to show that it's two different stories, okay? But they work together. Two stories that work together. But we're going to do one part at a time. That's it. Let me switch to a different color here. All right, cool. Now, I'm going to read it, and as I read it, you circle the important parts in the story. Okay? Jill has 6 marbles. She gets 5 more. How many marbles does she have in all? All right, Lowell. I'm hoping that you circled all the important things. We're going to reread it, and I'm going to circle the important things also. So this way you can make sure that you circled everything that's important and double check your work. Jill has 6 marbles. Well, that sounds pretty important that she has 6 marbles. So I'm going to circle that. She gets 5 more. Well, that also sounds important. How many marbles does she have in all? Now, there's some special words in this problem that tell us if we're going to add or subtract. And those special words are in all. So I'm going to go ahead and circle that. Those words are important. When we see in all, that means we are going to combine numbers. We're going to add. And you will use a plus sign to show this, right? So now let's look over at our number sentence. Make sure that they wrote it right. 6 plus 5 equals, well, 6 plus 5 equals 11. So we can fill this in now. All right. All right, cool. So all we're going to do, now that we've solved the first part, what we're going to do every time for these problems, this is our next step. We're just going to take this number that we found, and it's going to go right into the very first part of the next problem. It will go first, okay? Every time. This way, if you're adding, you're good no matter what. If you're subtracting and you put this big number you find first, well, that is awesome because the big number has to go first when we subtract. Okay? So now let's read the story, the second part of the story. Make sure you circle everything that's important. Okay? Jill gives 8 marbles to Sal. How many marbles does Jill have? Alright, so I'm hoping that while I was reading, you circled everything that was important. Let's reread, and I will also circle some important things to help us solve this problem. Jill gives 8 marbles to Sal. You know what? It's pretty important that she gives 8 marbles. And when we hear the word gives, that actually helps us figure out if we're going to add or subtract. All right, if you're giving, are you getting more marbles or are some going away? Well, if you're giving, those marbles are going away. They're getting taken from the big pile of 11 marbles. So that means that we are going to subtract, and they put that in here for us, which is awesome. And that other important thing that we found is the number 8. And the number 8 is pretty important also, because that's how many are going away. Now, we have to figure out 11 minus 8. And to help us, we can just make a really quick number line. Oh no! Uh-oh. Don't worry, I can solve that real quick. Ah, there we go. Much better. All right, and you can make this number line with me also. So we need to know the distance between 8 and 11. So we're going to start by making it at 8, then 9, 10, and 11. Okay, so what we're going to do when we use the number line to subtract, we're going to jump from one number to the other, and how many jumps it takes is going to be our answer. Okay? So we can either jump forward from 8 to 11 and count the jumps, or jump backwards from 11 all the way to 8. Either way is okay. All right? And you'll see exactly why. So let's jump forward just to make it easy. I don't want to confuse anyone by counting backwards. All right, so let's start at 8. 1, 2, 3 jumps, right? So now we can fill in the number 3. Because 8 or 11 minus 8 equals 3. And we know that because it took 3 jumps to get to 11 from 8. And if we were to go backwards, watch. It's going to be the same amount of jumps. Start from 11. 1, 2, and 3. Whether you're going forward or backwards, you're just counting the jumps when you subtract, and that's your answer. Oh, and we can't forget to fill in this part. Jill has how many marbles left? Well, she has 3 marbles left. Okay, so now we're going to move on to number 1. And hold on one second while I get that page up. All right, I am all set. Now let's kind of walk through this first problem together again. Okay, make sure you circle everything that's important that you hear. If it's a number or special words, make sure you circle them. Jack has 4 model cars. He gets 3 more model cars. How many model cars does Jack have in all? Well, I hope you were circling everything. Now, let me go back. I'm going to reread it, and I'm going to circle what I think is important, and you can compare and check your work, okay? Jack has 4 model cars. Well, that sounds important. We need to know how many model cars Jack has, right? Because the question in the end was how many model cars does he have in all? Okay, so he has 4. He gets 3 more model cars. Well, that sounds important too. How many model cars does Jack have in all? Well, you know what? The words in all we know are super duper important because they're going to tell us to add. Now we know we have to add, so we can fill in the numbers, right? Because they already gave us this awesome plus sign, so we don't have to fill that in. So first number that they gave us is 3, so we can go ahead and trace that. 3 plus 4, because these are the 2 numbers that we found out in the story. And when we add, it doesn't matter which one goes first. And we know that 3 plus 4 equals 7. Okay. Now here's the tricky part. This is the part that was confusing everyone last week. So let's look at it again very carefully. We know what the next step is that we have to do because we just did it at the top of the page. We're going to take this number that we found, right? We're going to take it and we're going to plug it in right over here. It's going to go first. Just in case we're adding or subtracting, we are good to go. You know, let me make that a better 7. Ah, much better. Okay, now let's read the story and circle the important things that you hear. For his birthday, Jack gets 5 model cars. How many model cars does he have now? See, this is a little trickier. But we did the first step, right? Now let's go back and circle the important things. for his birthday, Jack gets 5. 5 is super duper important. He gets 5 model cars. How many model cars does he have now? And how do we know whether we should add or subtract? Well, they say that he gets. If you're getting something, you're being given something, right? So you're getting more. So that definitely means that we are going to add. But they were super duper nice to us, and they gave us the plus sign already. So where do you think this 5 is going to go? Is it going to be combined with the 7? Or is that going to be our answer? Well, it should be combined with the 7 because we know that he started off with 7 model cars. And then for his birthday, he gets 5 more. So they want to know how many we have if we add them together. And 7 plus 5, oh man, that's kind of tough. It's actually a double plus 2 fact. So let's think about it. 5 plus 5 equals what? 10? All right. So that means that 5 plus 7, well, how many more is 7 from 5? Right? Because this went up 2. So if the second number went up by 2, that means the answer had to go up by 2 also, right? So that's going to be our answer. What's 7 plus 5? Well, it is 12. So we have 12 model cars. So you see what we did here? We solved the first part of the story the way we always solve a story problem. We solve every story problem the same way. We circle the important things, and then we figure out what the special words tell us if we're going to add or subtract. Except this time, we're going to take this answer we found, and we're going to put it right into the first space of the next part of the story. Okay, we take what we found, and we plug it into the first part, the first empty space. All right, so I'm going to read the second problem to you, but you're going to do this one all on your own after I read the first part. Okay, after the first part, you're going to stop, and then I'll read you the second part, and then you'll solve that, okay? So let's read. You can circle all the important things as you hear it. Nikki has 6 charms on her bracelet. She buys 8 more. How many charms does Nikki have in all? All right, so go ahead and circle the important things and go ahead and solve the first part of this story problem. I'll give you guys a minute. All right, I think that was enough time. So now let's go over the first part only. Okay? So I'm going to read it and make sure I circle everything that's important so I don't forget about it. Nikki has 6 charms on her bracelet. Well, that sounds important that she has 6 charms on her bracelet, so I'll circle it. She buys 8 more. Well, that also sounds pretty important. How many charms does Nikki have in all? Well, we know the words in all are super duper 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 important because they tell us if we're going to add or subtract. So the numbers, I'm going to plug in the numbers that I found. We know we're going to add, so it doesn't matter which order they go in. And they gave us the plus sign already, which is super cool of them. So I'll take the 6, and I'll take the 8, And 6 plus 8 is, that is 14. And I can figure this out the same way as I did up here because it's a doubles plus 2, right? So 6 plus 6 is 12, but 8 is 2 more than 6, so 6 plus 8 is 14. All right. So now I'm going to read the second part of the story problem, and you will circle everything that is important and then solve it on your own, okay? And remember the super important first step that we are doing with these problems. If you forgot, look at the first problem at the top that we did. Okay, that's a clue. It's a clue. I won't say anything else. All right. On the way home, 4 charms are lost. Oh, man, that sounds awful. How many charms does Nikki have now? Okay, so I'll give you guys a second. Well, more like 30 seconds or a minute to go ahead, circle the important things, and solve this story problem. All right, I think it should be enough time. Let's read it and circle the important things. On the way home, 4 charms are lost. Oh man, well, the number 4 is important. That 4 charms are lost, and if we lose something, that means that they went away, or does that mean that our friend Nikki has more of them? Well, it means that they went away, so I think the word lost is pretty important. And they already did something super nice for us, and they gave us a subtraction sign. Okay, so the first thing you should have did was taken this part that we found and just plugged it in right over here, because the part we found always goes first. Just in case we're adding or subtracting, we always want that big number first, right? So 14, that's our first step. So it's 14 minus, and then what is our new number that we found in the story? It's 4. So let's go ahead and write that 4. And now we just need to figure out 14 minus 4. Well, 14 minus 4 is 10. All right. So if you're still really confused, you can join me at the front carpet with our friends at Sit With Me every day. If you feel like you have a really good grip on this now after practicing it a little bit more and watching this video, then go ahead and flip your paper over and try those problems all on your own, okay? And I will talk to you all soon.